Hi everybody and welcome to this presentation on how to raise a child's self-esteem in the current world that we live in. My name is Sonia Smith and I am the Year 1 Inclusion Teacher here at WSO. Just a little bit of background for you. I've been part of the Academy for 9 years now. And I've worked in different roles at the Academy, but this year I'm working as the Year 1 inclusion teacher, and I'm really pleased to be doing so. So let's just delve straight into this topic. Our key outcomes for this session are to understand the meaning of the term self-esteem, to begin to unpack the term empathy and how this relates to developing a child's self-esteem, to discuss healthy ways to encourage high self-esteem within our children, to have a little bit of a look at what can affect a child's self-esteem. And then I'm going to go into what different support is available if you do have any concerns about your child's self-esteem, and then some key takeaways of the session. So the topic of self-esteem is one which is quite dear to me, it's important to me, and one of the reasons why it's a personal reason really. I've got two young daughters, and you'll see different photos of them within this presentation just for the cuteness factor really, but also just so you know that this is a topic which is of personal interest to me because ultimately I want them to have a high self-esteem and be happy in this world. So let's first of all just look at the term self-esteem and what that actually means. So self-esteem is referred to by psychologists to describe a person's overall sense of worth or value. And simply put, it's how a child or an adult might feel about themselves. And this would include things that they appreciate about themselves, their beliefs and their values, their appearance, and feelings about their cultural background and their heritage and their identity. So the main topic of this presentation, the key topic, is how can we encourage high self-esteem in children? This is one of the statistics that I came across in my study really when I was looking at this topic, and it was quite alarming, so I just want to share it with you. So 95% of teenagers have at some point in their lives felt inferior. The reasons for these feelings were mostly commonly connected to appearance, the ability in a certain area, their intelligence or size. So this statistic is massive, so it just brings to light the importance of this topic and how we really need to be encouraging our children to feel their best, to totally accept themselves, and to really be brought up in a very kind of nurturing, positive environment. And we're going to look at how that kind of affects our children as well. So empathy is a topic which I've been studying for some time now, and I came across it. It was a show that was recommended to me, and if anyone is interested, it's a YouTube channel and it's called Empathy for Breakfast. And I like to do study in my personal life. I like to do kind of study on different topics and things, but as I was learning about empathy, it really kind of brought to forefront how this is linked so closely to how we can support our children with their self-esteem. So we all know we all want to be seen, we all want to be heard, we all want to be really understood. And so how can we as parents, excuse me, as teachers and as caregivers ensure that this happens? So I started jotting some notes down about how empathy works and how empathy in particular works alongside ensuring that we develop our children's self-esteem. So some of the key points here, I'm going to delve into them a little bit further in some of the next slides as well. But it starts with feelings, that feelings are listened to. So you can show empathy by showing a child that you're actually listening to them, that their thoughts are valued, and that their abilities are recognized. And listening is a skill I feel is really quite scarce these days. And for us to actually teach listening skills, we need to be the role models ourselves, you know. So that means being present. It means having eye contact with our children and acknowledging how they're feeling by using gestures. It means by using a certain voice with our children and not interrupting them by putting in our own dialogue. And what I mean by dialogue is by putting in our own experiences or stories, because when we start doing that, we stop the listening process and we start making judgments. So it's so important so that when we are being empathetic with our children, that they know that you are there and you've listened, that you've seen them, that you've heard them, and that you've understood them without making any judgment or linking it to your own experiences. Now, this quote was something that I came across which I really liked. So self-esteem is described as a reverence for self. And that's really nice because it just shows that, you know, self-esteem is something that we would describe where we like ourselves, you know, we look up to ourselves, we enjoy our abilities, we are comfortable in our own skin as such. Perhaps more than ever before now, as parents, as educators, as just humans, we worry about the effects of the pandemic on the lives of our future generation. Empathy is putting yourself really in another person's shoes and understanding their feelings. Now, that means you're going to enter into someone else's world and someone else's experiences without having any sort of judgment or ideas, bringing our own ideas and experience into the conversation. The next little quote was from a poem which I really enjoyed reading, and it's been on social media during these COVID times. It says that we're all in the same storm, but we're all sailing different boats. And this is so relevant, I thought, because it's so true. We are in the same storm during this pandemic, but we are sailing different boats, and those boats are our experiences. We are all having different experiences, and so are our children. So it's so important to take our children as those unique beings that they are, and to ensure that we as parents, as teachers, as educators, as just humans can really start to help support and really develop their self-esteem. So the stages of self-esteem in children, this is a really nice document to have a little look at. It just outlines clearly the different stages of self-esteem from birth up to age 6 to 8 years. And the things that kind of stood out for me is that between the ages of 3 and 8, this is the time when children start comparing themselves to others. And you know, these are the days that they start school. So even at that very young age, they become very aware of their abilities. They become very aware of who they are as a person. And it's crucial at this stage to make sure that we nurture and help support that those feelings within them. So why is self-esteem important? Why am I even talking about this topic? So self-esteem has been one of those buzzwords within counsellors, life coaches, therapists and teachers for a long, long time. We want our children to reach their full potential. And we know that if they feel good about themselves, they're more likely to be able to resolve conflict, they're more likely to become resilient, and they're more likely to reach their desires and goals in life. As a parent, I know that all I really want is my children to be happy, and I know that I've got a role to play in that, and my personal role would be to open those conversations and help them to really be honest and empathetic towards themselves as well as others as well. So how do we encourage a healthy self-esteem? So what is it that we can actually practically do? And this starts from day one. This starts as soon as you've got that beautiful baby in your arms. There's things you can start doing, which is lovely. So building a close relationship and connection is key for that child to feel secure and loved. And this can be done through play, you know. It's a beautiful way to connect with your children. It's a beautiful way to have fun with your children and to just explore and really learn. Our aim is to develop a sense of belonging in our children by providing a safe and loving environment for them at home and in school. To celebrate them, so celebrate their achievements, and to discuss any challenges that they might be having, to have an open dialogue, to say, you know, to put it simply, oh, you're finding phonics a little bit difficult, I can see. What can we do about it? And, you know, and the other key element I've got there is to accept your child as they are. I think as parents, we put a lot of pressure on our children without realizing we want them to be good at X, Y, and Z. And without even realizing, we're trying to get them to be something which they're not. So really celebrate what they are good at. Really push them in the areas where they want to grow and the areas that, you know, they show interest. And the next point I've got there is lead by example. Teach empathy skills by listening. So you are their first role models. So teach empathy skills by listening to them. Acknowledge and validate their feelings. So, you know, say to them, you know, I can see that you're feeling really sad. Do you want to talk about it? And my 2-year-old is quite vocal. She'll tell me she's feeling sad. And my initial reaction is to make her feel happy. You know, I'm like, what can I do to make my baby feel better? How can I do to make my baby feel happy? But actually, my job in that kind of situation is to let her feel that sadness and to validate her feelings, you know. And same as when we're feeling unhappy or we're feeling discouraged or a little bit sad, it's okay to have that conversation with your children to say, I'm not feeling so happy today. I'm feeling a little bit sad today. Or I'm feeling a bit angry today. And just use that vocabulary to normalize it so that our children are able to use it and really, really validate their feelings as well. Next point is love, you know. Some of you might think it's just like a fluffy word that we use, but it's so, so important. Love, affection, and the words that we use with our children and the time we spend with our children is key to developing their image about themselves. You know, if they are loved, if they're adored, if they are listened to, they feel a sense of home within themselves. I want to talk a little bit about appreciating effort, you know. So rather than getting anything done perfectly, appreciate effort. Say, oh, you've had a really good try that. That's amazing. Well done. And in this way, we can encourage a growth mindset. We can encourage a mindset which allows children to think, okay, I find maths a little bit tricky, but there's things I can do about it. But guess what? I'm really good at gymnastics. So really celebrate the child as a whole. And the last point there is give children the opportunity to make decisions and take control in a caring and loving, safe environment. And that's so important because as parents, we want to control everything. We want to control from what they eat to what they wear to where they go. We want to control everything because we want our children to be safe. but it's important to let our children have a degree of control, so then they know they can make choices, and to know that, okay, that the choices might not be what mummy or daddy think, but it's their choice, and choices have a consequence as well, you know. So it's good to start early. So if we do have concerns, if we do have worries about whether your child has got a healthy self-esteem, whether your child has got a healthy self-image, there are lots and lots of people to help you. And I think it first of all starts with an open conversation with your partner, an open conversation with your child, just to really get open, be honest, and just to be able to reflect on what your concerns are, and to be quite specific. Our class teachers, the inclusion teachers here at WSO, are available to discuss any concerns, and to answer questions. And it's important, that we get the whole picture, like I said, of your child, so that your child might be acting a certain way outside of school or in the house, but they might be totally different within the school setting. So to open a dialogue, to open that conversation, and to really go a little bit deeper into why you might be feeling like concerned about or worried about your child is important. Next, we've got our lovely counselling team. We've got an incredible head of inclusion here as well. And I've just listed the names of those people there. And if you do want to contact any one of those, please do reach out to me and I can send you on their email addresses. We also work closely with outside agencies. We've got really nice relationships with them. And 3 of them that we work in particular really closely with, and I can recommend, are Lighthouse Arabia, and they do different kind of events and also therapies for children who might have self-esteem issues. There's Neuropedia, who specialise in academic support, whether that's through OT or speech or something else. Then we've got our lovely clinical psychologist, Dr. Poole, who we often get in touch with in order to get more information and to assess our children. The key thing to remember here is that you are not alone, and that we are all here as a team. So the key takeaways of our session, I write here. So I would say to teach empathy by being role models, give your children eye contact, be present, so put that phone down. And I'm totally speaking to myself when I say this, put my phone down, because so often hours and hours go by and we're attached to our phones, on the dinner tables while our children are playing, while we're out, let's put those phones down and really begin to listen and have those open communications. Encourage a growth mindset. Celebrate children's individuality by allowing children to experience different things, and accept them for who they are. And that key word down there, love them. Love your children, tell them that you love them. Be physical with them, give them hugs, and give them kisses, because that makes such a difference. Last thing for me, thank you so much for joining my session today. My email address is just there. If you do have any questions, if you do have anything you want to talk about or any feedback from this session, please do drop me an email. I'd be delighted to hear from you. I hope you've enjoyed the session and can take some of the points away. Thank you very much.